Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you are having a good day. So, a few weeks ago I found this bit of metal on the scrapyard. So, you know me, I took it home and thought, I can probably make a knife from this. But first I had to do a few very scientific tests on it to determine what this could be. So, the grinding test told me, well, that this is not steel, but rather iron. And when I forged it, that same thing, it's iron definitely and not steel. And as you can see right here, let me show you in the light. So there are some cracks on the edge of the billet, right? So you might think that that is a bad thing, but it's actually really good.
What did he say?
Sounds funny, but it is, because that is an indicator that this is most likely wrought iron. And then I did a last test. I welded a little tack on the top of this bar right there, and I tested if it would break off. It didn't, so most likely wrought iron, because if this was cast iron it would have broken off super easily. Cast iron does not like welding. Okay, so here's the plan. On the outside we're going to have our mystery metal. Then I'm going to add a layer of 15 and 20 on each side, that one right there and that one right there. And then for the core steel we're going to be using 1070, which is just a plain high carbon steel. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a silver line running through the blade. That is going to divide the core metal, which is the 1070, from the cladding metal, which is the mystery metal. So that should make a pretty cool pattern. Okay, now let's get the billets stacked up, welded together, and in the forge. Okay, so here's the design that I came up with. It's like a smaller type bowie knife with the, it's not a clip point, but it's a drop point. Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun little knife. I'm still deciding if I'm doing like a dagger grind on it with a big bevel and then a smaller bevel, or just going to do a simple big bevel on there, but we'll see how it turns out. So let's take this to the vise and start cutting out the profile of the blade. You might have noticed that I haven't forged it down to the profile of the blade. Well, this is for a reason. It's not just because I'm lazy. When working with a gomai or sanmai construction, it is really easy to get the core metal off center when you are forging it down to shape the tip. Let me show you. Here I have a piece of sanmai from a previous project. I don't know if you can see it right there, if the camera will focus, but you can see that black streak in the middle is the core metal, and it's really quite thin. So once you start forging it down like that, it's really easy to get it off center. Okay, so here's the blade. Everything has been cut out. As you can see, the tang is still quite thick. It's about 6 mil thick. So I'm going to put this back in the forge and then just get it down to the right dimensions. Now that that has been done, I'm going to start cleaning off the forge scale from the blade using an angle grinder, and then we're going to move on to the belt grinder to finalize the profile of the blade and start setting the bevel. Now it's time to heat treat the blade. This is kind of a stressful process because this is a bowie construction, so the chances of it warping, because the cladding metal is so soft, are pretty good. So I left it a little bit thick on the edge and then a little bit thick on the spine, hopefully to prevent any warpage, and if something did warp, to be able to grind it out. So let's go over to the forge and start heat treating. The first step is just going to be to normalize the blade, and this just means heating it up to around 800 degrees Celsius and then letting it cool down slowly. This exact process will be repeated 3 times, each time at a lower temperature. So right now it was an orange, then the next one is going to be a cherry red, and after that is going to be a dull red. So this is just done to shrink down the grain that grew in the steel when we did the forge welding. Yeah, it's just to make sure that there is no potential cracks forming when we go to heat treat it. Okay, the oil has been preheated, the blade is almost at temperature, so it's time to heat treat. Okay, so it's a little bit over, we're just going to let it cool down just a bit, and then we can go into the oil. Almost there, and that's right there. Okay, so remember what I said about the warping problem? Well, guess what happened? We have a warp in the blade. Look at that, you can even see it in the camera really clearly. That thing is crooked. That's not even close to straight. So now I'm wondering if I should redo the heat treat, or I'm going to just try to straighten it out in the tempering. But I think we're going to try the tempering first, and then if that doesn't work, we'll have to redo the heat treat. You won't believe me, but that actually looks like it worked. That would be really good if it did work. Let's see. That would be really amazing. Damn. Yeah. That's much better. Still a bit warped, but we can fix that. This is looking good. For a moment there, I almost thought I had to throw away like 5 days of work. So we were really lucky. I was able to get out basically most of the warp in the tempering, which doesn't happen that often. It's quite hard to get it perfect. There's still a little bit of a warp, but that can be ground out. So let's go to the grinder and do the final grinding of the blade. Alright, so as you can see, the blade has a little bit of a different profile. That's because I had a little accident with the grinder. Because I haven't done hollow grinding in quite a while, I got the edge too thin and I burned a little spot in there. But given that this knife is made out of a material that I'm never going to be able to use or find again, I decided to make a smaller knife and not throw the knife away. And it actually worked out really nicely. I kind of like the profile of the blade, so it's quite a happy accident. But yeah, so the blade is ground down. I fixed the mistake that I made, and now we just have to go hand sand it, which everyone knows is the most boring part of knife making. But it's very important, so we have to do it. Finished. Look at that beautiful pattern. I'm not going to show too much because that's just a sneak peek. So now it's time to start working on the guard fittings. First we're going to start off by making the slots in our both the guard and all these spaces, and yeah, then we're going to profile them. Okay, so I finished fitting up the guard as well as 3 spaces. They're not shaped yet, but we'll do that soon. The next step is to put on the wooden block. I've decided to use a piece of lead wood for the handle, and yeah. So let's start drilling a hole and then making a slot to get it fixed up. Okay, so I'm just using a little bit of super glue to hold everything together, and now I'm going to start drilling the holes for the liner pins. Okay, so I finished putting in the liner pins. As you can see, everything is held together mechanically now. Nothing falls apart. Even the guard is held on by it. You can see there are a few or 2 small holes, not going all the way through. And yeah, all that's left to do now is start shaping everything, getting everything's profile right. Yeah, and then we're finished with the knife. Okay, so I ground the first spacer off camera, but now I'm going to use it as a template to grind the other 2 spacers to shape. guard as well as the spacers have been polished up to 1000 grit. As you can see, I covered it with pieces of tape just to protect it while I start shaping the handle. Because that's what we're going to be doing next. Yeah. You see everything fits up nice and square. The wood, so yeah, that right there. Let's see if I can show you the design. Okay, there we are. That is going to be the design of the handle.